I'm Emmy's buddy today, so we're going to play together. I mentioned about last week Ryan's message. I had to leave a little early. As you know, Brett Struvelin from Westside Portland, who used to come here with Pastor Bo, he was serving there, and they had celebration of life. No, they had a farewell Sunday last week, and I was there to bless them. And he will have some time not being appointed to church. So he hopes to visit here in the summer. But the reason why I wanted you to listen to his words was because his words, who heard it? And I was going to tell him, let me clear my. He shared how he waited 2 years, almost 2 years, just waiting for the shoe to drop, right? For the shoe to drop, literally. And I want to tell them, Ryan, as much as you think we showed up, he showed up too, man. He showed up. I know he showed up because he didn't let the hurt and the wound of all the things that the churches and people related to church, inside the church, outside the church. Hey. Oh, are you trying to sing a song for us? You know what? I'll give you a time to sing a little after. So that we give you time. Right now, Pastor Anna's going to talk for a little bit, and then we'll invite you, Emmy, because you have a beautiful voice, and I think it does need to be shared. And I want to start there, okay? And today in the text, John comes as one of Jesus' disciples, having a huge complaint about what this other being is doing. And he saw somebody casting out demons in Jesus' name and says, we got to tell him to stop. We got to tell him because he's not one of us. And it's such a human impulse, right? When we see like boundaries being crossed, we want to be like, wait a minute. But I'm wondering, like really out of curiosity, what was John's worry? What was his worry? What could have been his worry? I want you to ponder about that. Was he afraid that God's grace was finite, perhaps, and that there wouldn't be enough for them somehow? Or did he think if you don't do it properly, then you'll be punished? I'm like, what was his thinking? But the disciples were worried about getting it right, doing it right, having the right credentials, and doing so maybe no longer be those other. But Jesus was there thinking, I'm not worried about the credentials and that. I'm worried about whether this person is thirsty or not. Who needs a drink? That was his concern. Friends, I've heard people tell me as a pastor that our move on Pride, Beaverton, to have our service at the festival is a radical move. You laugh. But like radical as in, how dare you? Car's like, ooh. Right? But they're like, no service at church? And you guys are just like going there to have a service? That doesn't count. And I said, is it really radical? Because the word radical in the Latin word ra, that actually means root, base. It's not radical as an extreme, but it is radical in that we're getting back to what we were always being called to do. It's not radical. It's not progressive. We're not being edgy. We're doing what we were called to do. I know you have shown up for not just our trans siblings, but folks who are struggling. We make phone calls, we make contacts, and I know from stories and testimonies that you have helped financially, you have helped them emotionally, You have helped them mentally. You have helped them with physical safety. I know you have been so helpful. And for people navigating houselessness, self-harm, the particular grief that comes with not being able to show up as you're fully yourself, and that who you are is completely incompatible with God, I want you to know that more than anything, what Ryan has shown us is that ministry of presence is everything. Ministry of presence. This is a word often used in clinical pastoral education, CPE, chaplains and pastoral care about this ministry of presence. And what it emphasizes is it prioritizes presence over anything else. Prioritizes your presence in that moment to hold and contain over performing, wanting to do it right, over anything else. So rather than, holding somebody and then trying to fix their problems, trying to solve, giving them answers, or letting your anxiety provoke where they're, even more. No. Ministry of presence is where you're able to let all of those things go for the sake of this person who needs your attention. And you give your whole presence, right, with non-judgment. And you show them that you are available. Ryan waited 2 years flinching. Do you know how tired and exhausting that must be? That's really what I heard. For Ryan to hold, just not knowing whether the shoe's gonna drop or not, that is a lot of muscle memory of religious trauma, is it not? And it's what happens when we teach them that God's love is conditional, when it's so not. And so, friends, really all I want to share as we open our communion today and as we embody ourselves in Pride Month, that we will be radical again. We will be going out to the park. And we will be there, not to let our shoes drop, not to show them that we want them to come to church. There's no room for those things. But I do want for us to be a people who can hold the banner, who can be open, who can pour water, and allowing it to be a place where people don't have to flinch. Oh, I'm looking at Emmy and thinking about all the beautiful ways that we can show them that they are loved. So this year, friends, we're actually bringing the table to them. We'll have an open table. And I know so often the table has been used as a gatekeeping, as a way to say who's in, who's not. But we're not going to do that this time. We will have the table wide open, allowing for others who are thirsty, hungry, or need of some kind of presence reminder that God still seeks them, that God's love is not conditional, that you don't need to have your theology right to be fed. You don't need to have your transgender identity somehow all fixed before you come forward. We'll be there as open. We'll be there with ministry of presence. And we'll go to that place to be a blessing.